Welcome to the deep dive. So our mission here, that's pretty simple, really. We take these complex strategic analyses, the ones often buried deep in consultancy reports, and we pull out the absolute essentials, what you need to know fast. And today, we're tackling a really big question. What's the backbone of business services? Think accounting, payroll, HR, even project management. What's that actually going to look like in, say, 15 years?
Yeah, it's a fascinating challenge. We're drawing on insights from a major strategic foresight report, and it's focused specifically on managed services in Portugal, looking right out to 2040.
Okay, Portugal. Now, why Portugal specifically? Is this relevant globally?
Absolutely. For the listener, this isn't just about Lisbon or Porto. Portugal is an incredibly useful case study. It's kind of at the sharp end of some big demographic shifts. Plus, it's right within the EU's progressive regulatory zone.
Okay. So it's like a bellwether, a sign of things to come elsewhere.
Exactly. It gives us a really good window into potential futures.
And the analysis itself, how do they approach this?
It's built on a pretty robust framework, STEAP. That's STEAP. Social, technological, economic, environmental, and political regulatory.
Right, steep. I've seen that. It forces a wider view, doesn't it? Beyond just the tech buzz?
Precisely. You have to look at how all five of these forces interact, how they push and pull on each other. Our goal here is to synthesize the really crucial signals of change across all five dimensions.
Because just focusing on, say, AI isn't enough.
Not at all. If you only look at automation, you completely miss the potential regulatory hurdles or the social demands or the demographic shifts that are going to shape how that tech is actually used. You need the whole picture to build a resilient strategy.
Okay, let's unpack this then. Starting, as always, with the people, the social dimension. And the first point sounds less like a trend and more like a certainty. A demographic shock.
It really is unavoidable, according to the sources. By 2040, get this, half of Portugal's population will be 50 or older.
Half.
Yeah. And that immediately drives this critical need for services tailored to older workers, and it forces companies to adopt genuinely flexible work models. Otherwise, you just lose experienced talent.
Okay, hang on. If half the population is 50 plus, needing flexibility, maybe part-time work, phased retirement, how does that square with the other big social factor, the generational shift? You've got Gen Z and soon Gen Alpha coming in with totally different expectations.
Well, that tension, that is the core management challenge for the next 15 years. You've got Gen Z and Alpha demanding purpose, authenticity, maximum flexibility. They expect cutting-edge digital tools and a certain kind of culture.
Right.
So providers have this dual mandate. You have to design services that work for an aging, experienced workforce and simultaneously build a dynamic, purpose-driven, tech-forward culture for the younger generations.
That sounds difficult.
It is. Fail on either side and you lose the talent war. Simple as that.
And linked to that, this whole idea of values. The demand for transparency seems huge now.
Massive. Stakeholders, clients, regulators, their own employees, they're demanding much more open data, continuous reporting on everything, financials, tax, labor practices.
So the old way, the quarterly report dropped in a PDF, that's just over.
It's ending, yeah. The social contract is changing. And a key part of this, mentioned in the sources, is the push for greater DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. And this isn't just about ticking boxes and hiring. It demands real, measurable accountability. And we'll see this pop up again later when we talk about the political side with new reporting requirements.
Interesting how these dimensions connect. Now, this transparency push, it leads to a really intriguing wild card the report mentions, the AI reliability crisis. What happens if a major AI system fails spectacularly?
Well, the thinking is it could trigger a huge regulatory backlash instantly. Imagine a catastrophic failure in, say, automated payroll or financial reporting.
Yeah, that would be bad.
Exactly. It could lead to immediate strict regulations. And ironically, it could create this massive urgent demand for more human oversight, more verification, more human judgment in those critical managed services. Social trust in unsupervised AI isn't guaranteed. It's conditional.
That's the key word, isn't it? Conditional.
Yeah.
If trust is conditional, then the tech itself has to be built with that in mind. Which brings us neatly to the technological dimension. Automation is the engine, but maybe human oversight is the steering wheel.
That's a good way to put it. The core shift is human-machine integration. Automation and AI are set to absorb pretty much all the transactional, repetitive stuff.
Like what specifically?
Think data entry, basic invoice processing, standard compliance checks. The bulk of that, gone.
Yeah.
Automated.
But it's more than just basic tasks now, right? with generative AI?
Oh, absolutely. This is where it gets really interesting. Generative AI is poised to shift the value chain itself. The sources suggest it'll automate reporting, draft compliance documents, even handle routine advisory functions. It's way beyond just writing emails.
Wow. So what does that do to the business model?
It flips it completely. You're no longer getting paid primarily for the manual doing of the task. The value shifts almost entirely to supervision, managing the exceptions, the AI flags, verifying the output, and crucially, providing strategic insights based on what the AI generates.
So the human role becomes quality control, oversight, and high-level strategy.
Exactly. Managing the machine, not doing the machine's old job.
But going back to that AI reliability crisis,
Yeah.
if we're relying on these automated systems, how do we build in the trust? How does the technology itself secure trust?
That's where foundational technologies like blockchain and distributed ledgers become really important. They're not just about recording data, they embed transparency and auditability right into the financial records from the start.
Ah, so they create an unchangeable trail.
Pretty much, an immutable record. That helps secure trust, especially in a highly automated environment where you might not see the process happening.
And are we seeing signs of this automation push already?
Definitely. The sources mention things that are already being piloted, like automated tax bots interacting with systems, even concepts like drone-based audits for verifying physical inventory.
Drone-based audits. Okay, that sounds a bit sci-fi.
It does, but it illustrates the shift. The human auditor isn't manually checking things anymore. They're managing the technology, doing the checking and verifying the algorithms are fair and accurate.
But there's a potential problem here too, isn't there? Agility versus control.
Yes, exactly. You have the rise of low-code and no-code platforms. They're great because non-technical people can quickly build custom solutions, increasing agility.
Sounds good.
It is, but who governs those user-built solutions? Who ensures they're secure, compliant, and reliable? It creates potentially huge governance and security challenges that the managed service providers will ultimately be responsible for managing.
Right, responsibility shifts. Okay, so if the tech handles the execution and humans handle oversight and strategy, how do you price that? How do you charge when maybe very little human time is involved in the core task? That leads us to the economic dimension. The old billable hour model seems dead in the water.
Oh, it's completely obsolete in this future scenario. Contracts are moving decisively towards value-based models. The focus is entirely on outcomes, on hitting mutually agreed key performance indicators, or KPIs.
So if an automated process achieves the compliant outcome in seconds, the client pays for that outcome, not for hypothetical human hours.
Precisely. They pay for the result, the value delivered, not the time spent by a person or a machine.
And this economic shift must be driving changes in how services are delivered too.
Absolutely. We're seeing massive platformization. Integrated service platforms will likely dominate, bundling multiple services, payroll, accounting, HR, maybe even basic legal compliance seamlessly together.
The classic subscription economy model. Everything is a service. Where's Anne's?
Exactly that. Recurring revenue, scalable models, often pay-as-you-go or tiered based on usage or outcomes. It's about integration and scalability.
And is this happening just locally or?
No, it's pushing globally. Globalization and, yes, offshoring mean clients are increasingly served from specialized global hubs. Providers need to compete by having multilingual talent and deep multi-jurisdictional expertise.
So just being the expert in Portuguese tax law isn't enough anymore.
Not if you want to serve international clients or even domestic clients with international operations. You need competence across the EU, maybe even globally, depending on your niche.
And this global platform-based delivery, it must demand flexibility in the workforce itself, right?
Huge flexibility, leading to the rise of what the report calls the elastic workforce.
Elastic workforce, meaning?
Think on-demand staffing, sophisticated staff secondment models. It allows clients to scale their service needs up or down almost instantly without carrying the permanent overhead. The workforce becomes less of a fixed cost and more of a flexible, scalable resource tied directly to service demand.
What's really fascinating here, though, are the signals about where new value, new margins might come from. The report points to some emerging, maybe niche models.
Yeah, this is where it gets quite speculative but interesting. Things like payroll and crypto, still niche but growing. Predictive accounting, using AI not just to record the past, but to actively forecast financial risk and opportunities.
Okay.
And even asset tokenization. Imagine tokenizing real estate or large equipment, allowing fractional ownership and trading through digital tokens.
So the takeaway is that future profit isn't just about doing the basics cheaper, it's about finding these high-value specializations.
High-value specialization seems key. Absolutely. Now, that need for new skills and transparency connects us to the next dimension, environmental. This has shifted dramatically, hasn't it?
Yeah.
From nice to have CSR to core business.
Right. Sustainability and ESG, environmental, social governance, they seem non-negotiable now. What does that mean operationally for managed services?
It means real-time ESG reporting and compliance become mandatory, not optional. Things like carbon accounting and other environmental metrics. They have to be seamlessly woven into mainstream financial reporting.
So financial statements themselves are fundamentally changing. They won't just show profit and loss in the traditional sense.
They'll have to reflect climate risk exposure and also climate-related opportunities. It's a much broader view of performance and risk.
And governments are pushing this too.
Definitely. Through things like green taxation, we'll see more fiscal obligations, but also incentives explicitly designed to steer businesses towards sustainable practices. This directly impacts the kind of tax advisory services needed.
And this accountability, it doesn't stop at the company's front door, does it?
No, it extends right across the supply chain.
Okay.
Full transparency and ESG compliance requirements will cascade down to suppliers. It pushes business models strongly towards the circular economy, focusing on reuse, recycling, regeneration, instead of the old linear take, make, dispose model.
That need for transparency, for system-wide accountability, it feels like it feeds directly into the regulatory world. Which brings us to the political and regulatory dimension. Sounds like a complex space.
It is, characterized by a lot of tension, actually.
The main tension seems to be this push and pull between globalization and fragmentation. Businesses want global standards, but regulators often want local control.
That's a perfect summary. We're seeing more and more data privacy and sovereignty laws, think GDPR, but potentially many more country-specific variations. This demands really robust data localization solutions and deep multi-jurisdictional compliance expertise from service providers. You have to navigate both global needs and local rules simultaneously.
Which suggests the way compliance is managed has to change too.
Fundamentally, the report talks about a shift towards dynamic regulation. Think adaptive regulatory systems using real-time data, replacing the old static, check-the-box once-a-year compliance models.
Concept monitoring, constant ad
That's the idea. Vigilance becomes the norm. And because AI is doing so much of the work,
AI regulation is coming too.
it has to. Mandatory accountability and transparency for algorithms. Service providers will likely need regular audits and certifications to prove their AI systems are ethical, unbiased, and fully compliant with whatever new rules emerge.
And how are governments likely to tax all this new digital activity?
That's evolving too. We're seeing new structures emerge, like digital taxation, specifically targeting services and data flows, essentially. Governments trying to tax value where it's created in the digital realm.
Right.
And alongside that, increased international tax cooperation. The aim there is to reduce aggressive tax planning and ensure multinationals pay tax where economic activity actually occurs. It's generally a tightening financial and regulatory environment.
And one last piece on the regulatory front, something called impact accounting.
Yes, this is crucial. It's the idea that financial reporting needs to expand beyond just profit and loss. It must formally include an organization's measurable social impact, positive and negative, and its impact on natural capital, on the environment.
So that links directly back to the social demands for DEI and transparency we talked about earlier.
Exactly. It's the political and regulatory system essentially codifying those societal expectations into formal reporting requirements. See how it all connects?
Yeah, it really does weave together. So if we try to synthesize all 5 dimensions, social, tech, economic, environmental, political, what's the core message? What does a successful service provider look like in 2040?
I think the bottom line is they have to be fundamentally agile, deeply digitally transparent, and demonstrably committed to sustainability and ethical practices. Anything less than that, well, it probably means irrelevance.
And these forces aren't separate silos. They're deeply interconnected.
Completely. Like you said, the social demand for DEI and transparency directly fuels the political push for impact accounting. You can't adopt AI technology without grappling with the political mandate for AI accountability and the social concerns about reliability.
So the future managed service provider is less of a traditional bookkeeper or payroll clerk.
Much less.
Yeah.
They become more of a technological synthesizer, a data interpreter, a risk manager, and a multi-jurisdictional compliance expert, all likely delivered through an integrated platform. It's a very different role.
Okay. That gives us a lot to think about, and perhaps leaves us with a final provocative thought for you, the listener, to mull over after this deep dive.
Hmm.
If AI takes over most of the transactional tasks, driving efficiency, but regulation, social demands for transparency, and the inherent risks of AI actually increase the need for mandatory human oversight, for continuous real-time reporting, for managing complex dynamic regulations. How will service providers square that circle? How do you deliver the expected constant cost savings and efficiency gains from automation while simultaneously managing the rising cost and complexity of essential human oversight and compliance?
That tension between automation efficiency and the non-negotiable need for human judgment and accountability, that might just be the defining operational tightrope walk for the next 15, 20 years.
Something to chew on. Thank you for joining us on the Deep Dive.